Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and do a few reality shows on the side. I got a belch coming, hold up. No, I'm not. Is it heartburn? Nope. Oh well. Anyways, I thought I had a belch coming. So before I get, one of the reality shows that I'm doing is Below Deck Med. But funnily enough, this week, because Below Deck actually airs on Tuesday nights, and this Tuesday was Independence Day for us here in the United States, it didn't air. They didn't have a new episode. So I'll be talking a little bit about Below Deck in a minute. But before I get to that, I've got to tell you about, I just had to go on, I'm going to take this opportunity to go off on one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, it was actually a seminal movie for me in my career. And the movie was Xanadu. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, that piece of crap. I'm sorry, it's not a piece of crap. It is a brilliant cinematic masterpiece. Especially if you do a little research and find out about the back history of Xanadu, the fact that they never had a finished script, the fact that they were able to pull all of that out of their ass. I mean, it's really it is a testimony to style over substance, and how that style has actually lasted a lot more. People say that it's a copycat of Saturday Night Fever. I never thought that it was, so much as other movies like Can't Stop the Music, or movies like that didn't really last the test of time. And even though Xanadu is totally a period piece now, it's still an amazing film. I mean, it really is truly amazing. Gene Kelly is the fucking man, first of all. Okay, so anyways, when I was 6 years old, first of all, let me tell you, and I didn't know this so if you go on YouTube, you have to watch, there's a documentary about Xanadu called Making of Xanadu, and it was filmed in like 2008, so it's like 9 years old, right? And in that, they talk with the director, they talk with two of the writers, they talk with one of the producers, they talk with the choreographer, Kenny Ortega. Now, Kenny Ortega actually has a huge career. And he talked about Russell Clark, and I forgot. I think I've actually taken dance class from Russell Clark back in the early 90s. So, yeah, back when I was at Tremaine Dance Center, I believe that I took class from Russell Clark. Anyways, I don't even know he had anything to do with Xanadu, actually. It's one of those things. I had no idea. Here's another thing that I had no idea until I found out when I was watching this behind-the-scenes documentary. It premiered on August 8th, 1980. 8/8/80, right? Now, my very first concert that I ever went to was 8 years later. Exactly. 8/8/88. Debbie Gibson at the Greek Theater. I'll never forget. How crazy is that was on the exact same day, 8 years later, Debbie Gibson, and I was so in love with Xanadu, and that premiered the same day. Crazy. That is mind-blowing crazy. So now I'll never forget that day either, because that was a huge day. So the reason why it was a big piece of my personal history, I was 6 years old, and I saw Xanadu, and when you're 6, until then, you don't really think about what you want to do in life, what you want to be, what you want to be when you grow up. You don't really think about that crap. You just want to, play, or go to school and then play, and learn and play, Because I didn't really hate school at that point yet either. That wasn't until high school. Anyways, so I saw that movie, and I was like, oh my God, I have to be Olivia Newton-John. She's incredible. She sings, she dances, she acts. Although now that I watch the movie now, I realize she doesn't actually dance that much in the show. But there's so much wonderful dancing in that movie. The choreography at the time was great. It was a little bit marred by the editing, but you can tell that that the dancers were on fleek. It was incredible. It was so good. And there's this little blonde kid that was in it, and I I did see myself in that little blonde kid. I think he was like 18 at the time, and I was like, because he was just a random backup dancer, and I was like, I could totally, I could do this. Like I could totally do this. So then I, grew up performing, and I danced at Disney, and I was in the movie Britney Baby One More Time, and all that stuff, and that was great. Also, another fun fact. So when I was a teenage dancer, my agent was Victoria Morris, who was also in Xanadu. Now, I didn't even know that at the time. The females of the movie, even though they're very ethnically diverse, the white girls look a lot alike. So I couldn't really tell her apart from any of the other. So I didn't know that she, if I had known when she was my agent that she was in Xanadu, I would have spent a good day picking her brain about that movie. I had no idea. No clue. So that was interesting to know. So if you get a chance, you've got to watch The Making of Xanadu, or whatever, Behind the Xanadu, or what, I don't know what it is, but came out in like 2008. And they've got Gene Kelly's widow. Gene Kelly was just a fierce guy. Olivia Newton-John was outstanding, and they were really the stars of the movie. And I know people were like, well, what about Michael Beck? I'm sorry, but so honestly, anyone could have played Sonny Malone. And no disrespect meant to Michael Beck. He did a great job, but he just wasn't top billed like Gene Kelly and Olivia Newton-John were. Although I did find out that the Tubes, they don't like to sing dancing. They never have, and that's upsetting. And there was something else I found out. And that Jeff Lynne from Electric Light Orchestra. First of all, the Electric Light Orchestra did this is one of the problems though, is that half of the songs were written by Electric Light Orchestra and the other half were written by John Farrar, who had written a couple of her songs that she did in Greece 2 years before. But my whole thing is, I mean, the ELO half of the soundtrack was always my favorite. There are a couple of songs that I like on the Olivia Newton-John side, but I love the ELO side. Don't Walk Away, The Fall, I'm Alive, All Around the World, Xanadu is an ELO song. I mean, it was really great. But Jeff Lynne actually, he says, everyone in life makes mistakes. Mine was Xanadu. Excuse me? That's not a mistake. Hateful. Anyways, let's talk about Below Deck. So if you get a chance, watch that on YouTube. It's really good. Okay, Below Deck. So there's a couple things I want to talk about because there's that belch. I knew it was coming. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about in Below Deck, and because the last episode that aired which was 2 weeks ago or last week, but it was, how I was speculating as to why that iPad was hooked up to his phone still after he was off the boat. I was like, that's a huge no-no in the discretionary world of yachting, And then and to me, it really reeked of production getting involved. But then some things have happened since then that have made me question. So it makes me wonder, maybe Hannah herself was the one who actually paired his phone, because technologically speaking, you can't just, pull up someone's cloud on an iPad. You have to pair it with their actual phone. And they have to sign into iTunes to get their iMessage. So someone had to have him do that, right? So maybe Hannah was the one that did it, and she was so caught up in texting him that she forgot about it and left it. Now, that's where it gets a little fuzzy, because now at that point, that was Hannah's mistake. And she has talked about on Twitter since then how she's made mistakes. But it still reeks to me of production. Like, yes, okay, that was Hannah's mistake. But did Bugsy and Bobby, the two worst people in the world, to find it, have to find it? I mean, granted, if they would have had Adam find it too, then it would have been the trifecta, but Adam never leaves the galley unless he's going off the boat. So, obviously that wasn't going to happen, but Bugsy and Bobby, they'll find it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. It might have been Hannah's fault. And if so, that's kind of a bad thing, Like, that's how shit gets out about celebrities. Like, let's say I'm a huge celebrity and I'm renting a yacht and I have this huge orgy. I'm not necessarily doing a lot of drugs, but I'm having lots of sex, right? And I'm taking pictures with my phone. If I pair that phone with an iPad and suddenly I see that those pictures are ending up on a tabloid, do you think I will ever rent with that yacht again? Never ever, right? So it's those types of things that is like, ooh, ouch, yikes, right? We'll see a little bit more. And also Jason, he is pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. I might have done the same thing if I was Hannah. I'm just saying, he's pretty hot. Um, he was on Watch What Happens Live, not necessarily as a guest. He was just in the audience, and he was saying, I didn't like the way that it was edited, that I was the one that came on to Hannah. That's very interesting. Okay. All right. So maybe Hannah was a little bit more aggressive than we, as viewers, are led to believe. Interesting. Well, I'm sure we'll be finding all that out next week when we watch more Below Deck. So, Below Deck Med. So please feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Angel Benton. You can hashtag Below Deck Med to talk Below Deck Med, or you can hashtag Days to talk Days of Our Lives with me. You can also hit that little subscribe button on my YouTube channel to get my videos sent to your inbox every single day. And go out and watch on YouTube. Excuse me. Oh, a second belch. 2 for 1. Go out and watch on YouTube that Xanadu documentary. It's only a half an hour, but it's really worth it. It's really great. So please check it out. And Kenny Ortega's awesome too. But Gene Kelly was the man. He's not in the actual documentary, but his wife is, and her stories. It's just awesome. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Peace out. Wubba wubba wubba.